2022 meeting and the October 20th, 2022 agenda review.
I so move to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item number 2, consider a request to close Main Street on December 1st, 2022 from 5:30 to 8 p.m. for the Parade of Lights.
Yes, you have a request in front of you for the closure of Main Street, and this is done by the Lions Club again for the Parade of Lights, and staff has looked at this request and are okay with that.
Thank you.
I would move for approval.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item 3 is to consider approval to move forward with seeking bids for the demo of property at 303 Southeast 4th. Suzanne.
Yes, Commissioners, due to a fire and years of property neglect, the Environmental Control Officer sent a notice of violation regarding the property at 303 Southeast 4th. The conditions were terrible, and it's considered a dangerous structure. On October 8th of 2021 is when we sent out the first notice. No improvements were made, and the issue was heard in court on September 22nd of this year. The court ordered raising of the structure. Staff is prepared to put the demolition of the structure and cleanup of the site out for competitive bids as per the attachments in your packet. If the commission approves moving forward, the project would be bid on November 10th. At 11 a.m. here at City Hall. The cost of the repairs or demolition will be paid from a capital reserve fund that's set aside for demolition of properties, and then the cost would be assessed back to the property similar to a special assessment. Should the cost occur exceed the funds available, the finance director will determine how to fund the balance of the project. Following the receipt of the bids, the project will come back to you, the City Commission, and you would award the bids to the successful bidder at your last meeting in November.
All right, any discussion? If not, we can have a motion.
I move we approve putting that out to bid. I second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item 4 is to consider the final plans for the stormwater wetlands, subject to state and federal review, and authorize staff to set a bid date when approvals are received. Suzanne.
Yes, Commissioners. We started this, kind of brought it to you the first time in October of 2020. However, staff had been talking with multiple folks prior to that, and the Kansas Alliance for Wetlands and Streams came forward and entered into an MOA with the city, along with the R. Michael Rhodes Foundation, for creation of a 7.2 acre stormwater-fed wetland. And this would be immediately adjacent to the city's existing wastewater treatment plant effluent-fed wetland that is west of Sand Creek. On the screen, you can kind of see what we have for you this evening are the plans. We have the construction drawings all completed and ready to go and to put out to bid once we have all of our permitting done. So if you look at the picture, just so that everybody gets a feel, kind of the darker area with the circles, that's the existing wetlands that wouldn't be wet if we weren't sending effluent from the wastewater treatment plant. And then the thought was to build a stormwater-fed wetland that's kind of the bluish-green area. And the material from here would be removed, and then that fill would be placed in that kind of lighter green area there under where over by the parking lot, where the parking lot's going to go, the orange area. It's going to be placed in there and under the pathway. And then there'll be a viewing pad that will be at the elevation of the berm that's around the existing wetland, so that you'd be able to see all of the wildlife. There is multiple bird species, and I'm not going to talk about those at length because that's not my forte. But we have partnered with CAUSE, the Kansas Alliance for Wetlands and Streams, and they brought in multiple partners on this project, including, as you had heard at previous meetings, the Rhodes Foundation. And we have with us this evening, we have representatives from CAUSE, we have representatives from Ducks Unlimited, and they prepared the bulk of the plans. The city did the parking lot plans, and they did the wetland plan. And we've merged all of that together to be able to build this wetlands that would be accessible by the to the public. The existing wetlands is not accessible to the public because at times of high flows for the wastewater treatment plant, we have permission from the state of Kansas that we can send raw wastewater over to those wetlands that would be treatment if we are over the amount that could be processed at the wastewater treatment plant. Therefore, the state does not allow public access to those. But these stormwater wetlands, we would have this path and then the viewing pad where you could see the waterfowl that are accessing this area, and eventually there would be boardwalks that would be built into the stormwater wetland area. We have planned educational signage as well as the boardwalks, and it would all be accessible with some low-level lighting, and of course, there's parking that would be available for school buses so that we could have field trips and things. But we have quite a large group of bird watchers in Harvey County that are very excited about the project, as well as the multiple partners on this project. Libby Albers with Cause has been working this project, and the construction of the project would be 100% privately funded through grants and donations. She has about 28 different diverse partner groups that are supporting the project, and city staff is assisting with some of the design and the permitting and the construction oversight. The costs of the project, we started before the pandemic, and as you know, costs have risen some. So we were around $359,000 for the entire project. And now it is closer to around $435,000. But CAUS has pulled together some additional grants and believes that they have the funding gaps very near closure at this point. The permitting process is underway. We have one KDHE agency that has approved it. We are sending things out to other agencies. Because this takes quite a while, we would like to get your approval upon final approval from all of the agencies that need to approve the project to be able to then put it out to bid and not have to wait for the commission meeting to come around. So we just kind of wanted your permission to be able to move forward when we are able to. And then it'll go through our normal bidding process. That's another step that we are helping and assisting with on the project. Then we'd probably be looking at a bid date that's going to be in the first quarter of 2023. We also, Libby and Cause have also pulled in the mural group, and I believe we have representatives from the mural group as well. In your packet, I gave you a link to Newton Murals, and they are pursuing bird mural designs for use on the reverse side of the signage kiosks that would be along the pathway. So there's quite a few different partners in this project, and I think it's turning out to be something pretty exciting for Newton. And I've also given you a link that Libby has provided for updates to the project as well that is here in your packet. And the public would be able to find this. I'm sure Aaron can get this out on the website as well. Once the project is constructed, the city will be the entity charged with maintenance of the facility. So this is something that we would need to build into future park and wastewater budgets for maintenance of the improvements once they're completed. But today, we would ask that you approve the plans. We have construction drawings that support everything you're seeing on the picture on the screen, and that is in your packet. And we would ask that you would approve the plans and authorize staff to bid the project as needed.
Does anybody want to speak on this tonight? I know, Libby, you're here, and anybody that may want to, feel free to come up if you want to address any of it.
Yeah, and Jill Robb is here representing the Michael Rhodes Foundation also.
Yes, thank you. Libby Albers with the Kansas Alliance for Wetlands and Streams. I won't take up too much of your time, but I appreciate you hanging on with us through this long road on the project. We didn't expect a pandemic, but it did give us a little bit more time to make the project more complex by bringing in the murals and everything else. So if you do have questions specific to the habitat creation, the wetland creation, what Ducks Unlimited is doing, or what the Newton Murals is adding, please don't hesitate to shout. They're here for your questions tonight.
Do you have a rough estimate of how many species of birds?
Yes, right now, the birders have recorded 158 species that have come through that area, and that's by getting special permission to access the area. So there's only little snippets of time when they're coming out there to see that. I know many of you have probably seen the big hordes of geese come in the fall. They're on their way back right now. So this is a great time to be talking about this project.
I didn't know there was 158 different kinds of birds. Thank you. I think it's a
Thank
neat
you.
project. Very cool.
Seems to me this is going to be a real gem for our community.
Yeah.
That we'll talk about and visit for years into the future. So I applaud all of the different entities that have come together. It's definitely a team sport, isn't it?
Joe, did you want to address it at all, or anybody else want to come up? Constance, you're here with the mural group, and so feel free if you want to come up.
Joe Robb with the Rhodes Foundation. And I lost my hearing in my left ear 2 weeks ago, so if you ask any questions, I'm just going to smile and nod. Anyway, I don't have much to add other than we are in awe at the number of different groups and people that have come together on this project with varied talents and interests. And the murals project is a great example of that. And the seed collecting that has gone on to collect seeds for the plantings out there and some of those kind of things. And I agree, it's just going to be a great gem for the community, and we're just thrilled to be part of it and support it. So certainly at any point in time, if any of you has questions, let us know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shameless plug for Newton Rotary, just got a grant to finish up the funding for the Newton murals side of the deal.
Cool.
I haven't even told you that yet, have I?
No, but I'm glad to hear it. Constance Gearing with Newton Murals. We've been working with Libby for about the last year and a half and have funding to do 5 4x4 murals of birds that'll be placed on the back sides of the kiosks. And we're modeling this after the New York Audubon bird mural project. So those are be large birds, stylized. And we just put a call for art out, asking for submissions. And we're, for those 5 panels. And the call for art includes a list of endangered birds in Kansas. So there's about 30 of them. So this is a, excellent way to highlight and draw attention to concerns about conserving birds. So the call to art is due back for submissions December 1st. We have a panel of 5 judges who will come up with the 5 finalists. And then we're hoping to have the panels completed by the end of April. And then we'll just be ready to install them as soon as the kiosks are ready. And we are partnering with KCAIC and Rotary on this project. I'm really glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Craig, you want to say something?
Craig Roy, I'm with Ducks Unlimited. I started with Ducks Unlimited about a few years ago, and this project was kind of underway, but Ducks Unlimited, certainly look for these opportunities with cities or communities where we can introduce some wetlands that are educational benefits to really allow people to see the many benefits of the wetlands, not just for the many bird species out there, but the other benefits that wetlands bring to communities. So we appreciate the opportunity to work with Cause and the other partners on this project.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So you just need us to authorize you to set a bid date? Okay.
Yeah, and we'll set that once we have all of our approvals.
Okay.
I move that we approve the bid date as set out.
I'll second.
The motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item number 5 is to consider an ordinance to dissolve the city's accessibility advisory board. Chris.
Yeah, I can cover this, Mayor. This pertains to a 1993 ordinance approved by the City Commission that did create an accessibility advisory board. Through staff discussions, we found and have pointed out that this board has not been an active board in essentially more than 10 years. The city does have a full-time employee that serves as an ADA coordinator. And some of those roles that you'll find in that 1993 ordinance in terms of identifying some of those handicapped accessibility and ADA issues are handled by that employee. City staff will still continue to look at this issue, whether it's to come back with a recommendation to form a new board or how those responsibilities should be addressed. But with the board being essentially out of service for the last 10 years, it's a staff recommendation that we repeal the ordinance at this time to just get it off the books, not to minimize those issues or to say that it's not on the radar. I would stand for any questions, but the ordinance just does that. It repeals that ordinance and formally ends that board.
We'll need an ordinance number. Should we move forward?
5098-22.
I would just point out that this board existed because the ADA did not.
Right.
And that the ADA is now in place for all of that.
I would move we approve this ordinance, getting rid of the other ordinance.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, item 6 is Planning Commission business for 400 East 8th. Suzanne?
Yes, Commissioners. At the October 5th Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission held a public hearing regarding the property at 400 East 8th. The property owner has requested a zoning amendment, a change from an RS, a single-family suburban district, to a C2 general business district. And the Planning Commission approved this unanimously, and now it is coming to you for consideration. If you choose to move forward with that change, there is an ordinance that would need to be adopted.
Was there anybody there that evening that spoke against it? I didn't see it in the notes, but
I was not at this meeting.
The owner is right there, Jane.
The
There was not.
applicant
Okay.
is here, yeah.
thank you.
This was heard twice, and at the second meeting, I don't believe anybody was there. And I'm not sure anybody, the first meeting, nobody was there against it either.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I would move we receive the recommendation of the Planning Commission.
I'll second that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. Okay, and for B, we'll need an ordinance number.
That number, I'm sorry about that. That number is 5099-22.
I move to approve 5099-22.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. Okay, and item 7 is Planning Commission business for 1010 South Kansas Avenue.
Yes, Commissioners. This application for a zoning change from a R1, a single-family dwelling district, to a PUD, a planned unit development, was also heard, and a public hearing was held on October 5th before the Planning Commission. This also passed unanimously. The PUD is a little bit different than just a plain zoning change. In this instance, if you approve the change from an R1 to a PUD, the applicant will bring the plans for the PUD to the Planning Commission after you approve this, and the Planning Commission reviews those plans, make sure that it's conforms with the PUD, and then that specific use would be allowed in that specific form, if you will, on that property. So it's a little bit different than just a blanket zoning change. And so if you approve this tonight, we understand that then the applicant would be moving forward at a later date, bringing those plans to the Planning Commission again.
Okay. need a motion to receive the recommendation.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. And item B, ordinance number,
Sure. 5100-22.
I was going to guess that.
I would move we approve ordinance 5100-22.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. And item 8, consider approval of employment contracts for the city manager and city attorney. Chris, you'll take this one.
Yeah, and Kelly was unable to attend tonight's meeting, but she did prepare a memo that essentially, that outlines the process. Both myself and Kelly, as city manager, serve under contracts for the benefit of the city. Last year, you approved contracts for calendar year 2022. 2 contracts have been included in your packet for calendar year 2023. The memo outlines that performance evaluations have been completed. Change on the grade, the step and grade pay, and the cell phone allowance. I would stand for any questions that you have on these agreements.
No question, but just a comment that I think I believe I speak for the commission whole, that we're very glad to have you and Kelly both as part of our team. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, very much so. I move that we improve these employment contracts.
Second.
okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, and item 9, consider approval of time changes for the November 22nd, December 27th commission meetings to noon. Denise?
Yes, we just need a formal motion to move those meetings to noon. Those dates remain the same, we just need to change the time.
I would so move.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, and citizens forum tonight, Stephanie, come up and give us your address as well, if you would.
Good evening. My name's Stephanie Callahan. I'm at 1101 South Pine Street. And specifically what I came to talk about tonight was to see if it can be put on another meeting's agenda down the road where we could open up discussion about city code, specifically Chapter 3 regarding animals and fowl, Articles 1 through 6. I have very recently had a personal issue, and I just want to preface what I talk about by saying I'm not intending to sway the outcome of that. It's too late for that. It's still pending, but it merits giving some history regarding that event that brings me here today, in the hopes that I can help advocate for change of that code, maybe updating it, looking at it for future meetings, and hopefully save another citizen, whether it's in my neighborhood or across town, some of the heartbreak that we've gone through with this. So specifically, my own personal issue, what happened is a neighbor's dog had jumped our 6-foot privacy fence and attacked our dog in our yard. She will have ongoing issues, drains placed, horrible bite marks and wounds and things that we have to deal with and dress daily. What I really would like to look at is, it seems like we have a 2-bite type rule or something like that in place in some of these, that maybe the wording could be a little bit better. Maybe it could be updated so that another family does not go through that. Like I said, we have a 13-month-old grandchild, an old dog that doesn't do anything, but a little dog that's a little feisty and, would like to protect her territory. What I'm really concerned with is that the dog in this case was allowed to remain at home for the current time being. So a week or so goes by before anything's decided on that. And I think maybe we could look at that for the future and make some changes there so that other people feel safe at home. They feel safe with their families and their pets going outdoors, knowing that if this has happened once, okay, we're done, we're taking action on it, and not wait for a second incident or something like that before action is taken. If an animal's already hurt or a person gets bit or snapped at, we need to really maybe look at that and not allow death to occur before we make some really strong moves forward. So that's what I would like to just come and ask, hey, can you put this on the agenda for another time and start to look at these? And I realize these things take a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of input from various sources. But I have a background as the deputy director of a health department in Kansas, and I'm willing to help on that side if it's helpful at all for things involving animals. So thanks for listening to me, and just would ask
So
that we
then
put that on there.
your suggestion in this specific situation is that if that happens, then said animal would need to be taken away and not permitted to go back to their home. Is that what you're?
In the case of a vicious, unprovoked attack, I would like to see that, yes.
Okay.
I don't like the idea of, well, let's wait until this happens again, and then we'll move forward with removing the animal. And that may be an error on my part in interpreting that. Obviously, I'm not an attorney, but I think we could still look at that and see if there are some changes that could be made to benefit other people down the road. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You can stay here if you want, or you can sit down. What I think I would like to see maybe is at our next meeting, if we could just get an update on, or like I don't know, I haven't read the ordinance on dogs, so I can say that for sure, but
What I might suggest is I can give Stephanie my information and get with PD and the ACO, and then maybe on a staff level, we can all talk about it and then report back if that's adequate. I'll get you my card after.
yeah, I'd appreciate that. Yeah, we've done this before where somebody comes and we have made changes that, I mean, we do our best to try to know what's there but until it happens to someone, then sometimes we realize we need to make changes. I can think back to, I just looked up the address to make sure I understood exactly where it was, and there's a recycling container in the picture, and I remember when someone came to us and brought up something about recycling containers in the city, and we actually changed an ordinance after they brought it to us. So thank you for coming and speaking to us tonight, and we'll review it for sure. Okay, we'll go around. We'll start with Commissioner Karai.
Okay. A little over a week ago, Leroy and I were invited to go speak to the third grade class, Miss Saylor's class at Walton Grade School. And it's one of the funnest things that I get to do, you know, with kids. There's an abundance of honesty in the room, and they ask some really cool questions. So some of the kids will be watching tonight, and tomorrow in class they're actually going to watch this Facebook video. So I want to give a shout out to my new friends that we met out there: Isaac, Aiden, Malachi, Tate, Tawan, Olivia, Vita, John, Kyra, Livy, Owen, Billy, Carly, Macy, and Bella. And I want to ask Commissioner Kane to say hi to them and read some of the questions that they asked us. They're pretty interested in what we do, and we had just really a lot of fun answering their questions and talking back and forth with them. So if you would.
Yeah, I too want to give a shout out to all of you that are watching tonight. But so every one of them were asked to write questions to us. Interesting questions. Things like, do you always go to schools? Do you like your job? What is the favorite part of your job? Do you get to talk to the government?
We try not to.
We try not to. What do you do? Is your job ever really hard or confusing? No, never. What is your real job? When did you become the government? How did you become the government? What part of your job is the hardest? How did you work things out? It's a good one. Does your job ever get boring? No, it sure doesn't. So thank all of you that are watching tonight.
And one thing I do want to point out that we had fun talking about is how well this commission works together, not with just each other. And we talked about teamwork and working with the staff and how good a staff we have and how important that is to have a successful city, you have to learn how to play well together and get along. So I felt like we're in pretty good hands when those third graders come up and take over for us old codgers. And that's all I had.
Commissioner Stinnett?
I don't think I can follow up on that. So, thank you to staff and everybody.
Okay. Vice Mayor Kane, do you have anything else you want to
Well,
say?
I just want to add to that. I did share with the class that since I've been around the block just a few times up here for a few years, that I remember the day when it wasn't this way, and how deep of an appreciation that I have for what we have here. And because every one of us are different, you know, and every one of us have different opinions and viewpoints. But you know what? We respect each other, and we don't go out there on the streets and backbite each other, and we always look for solutions, and we eventually come together. So, man, it's a cool thing what we have here.
Thank you. Chris?
No, sir.
Okay. Suzanne?
No, sir.
Okay. I'll just add maybe to what Commissioner Cry was saying just about the team and Vice Mayor Kane as well. I was thinking as we were sitting here listening to the wetlands conversation, and as we looked around the room, there was 4 different organizations represented for that one project tonight. And I think that 4 organizations probably with different backgrounds, maybe with the exception of Ducks Unlimited and Cause, but how they figured out how to work the mural project into that, and the organization that's funding or doing part of the funding on this. I just thought that was neat, and it speaks well to our community and our ability to all work together. So the rain was a nice blessing yesterday. It was nice to finally have it. And just we have a great community that we live in, and thankful to be a part of it. All right, meeting adjourned.